Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Hope you had a perfectly enjoyable 14th of February, no matter what you may have been doing for that, or with whom, or without whom, or however. I hope it was a good day. Hopefully, it's going to be an even better day because now you're hanging out with us, and that always makes my day when people hang out. So, there we go. So what are we going to do today? Well, we're going to do some sort of romantic drink-ish things. I don't know. I think they're vaguely romantic. They have romantic story-ish thing attached to them, I guess. So we will see what we can do about that, about living up to the spirit of Valentine's Day.
Got a Christine and a Colleen.
Christine and Colleen, excellent. We have like three other people besides those two that are watching.
Colleen had two cookies.
So yay! So we have people watching, which is always a good
And
thing.
Amanda.
Yay, Amanda! We saw you last night. Hopefully you liked the Rum 101 class with Mr. Petrick. Yeah, we like Matt a bunch. He seems to be a very nice guy. I look forward to someday actually meeting him in person. You can't see it because it's now moved off screen, but the lava lamp seems to be working just fine. So yay, we've got the lava lamp working. I do have some Lovecraftian things to show you, which is not particularly romantic, other than, when you ask, hey, hun, can I spend our hard-earned money on Lovecraftian things? And she says yes. I mean, that's pretty much true love, right? So we did that. And so there's the wife. Hi, we're gonna kiss. We're gonna kiss on screen. So if that bothers you, what are you doing watching this broadcast? I mean, come on. Love you. All right, so what do we got? Mr. Berenger. I don't know. It's not Berenger like the wine. This is an artist who has taken the time to take in a large Francois Berenger. Berenger? Baranger, has taken the time to illustrate several of H.P. Lovecraft stories in this large format style. And the artwork in here, I mean, the stories are the stories, right? You know the stories. Or, if you're a Lovecraft fan at all, you know the stories, Mountains of Madness, and that sort of thing. But here, you just have these gorgeous full color pieces done by the artist that are just absolutely amazing. The stuff is really truly pretty, and he manages to not do the horror, the horrific, so you don't have to worry about it giving you nightmares. The second one he has done is the Call of Cthulhu, because of course, right? If you're going to do H.P. Lovecraft, you're going to do Call of Cthulhu. Also large format. We do get a little darker here because of the portrayals of Cthulhu, and I'm not sure if you can tell or not. All right, what that looks like. There we go. But that's a nice rendering of Cthulhu. I'm pretty happy with the artwork here. They're not terribly expensive, and if you're a Lovecraft fan, I think these are worthy additions to illustrated volumes of Lovecraftian stories that you might have knocking around. So there you go. That's those are some pretty special little gifties that I was allowed to spend my money on, so I could get. So happy Valentine's Day to me from the wife, who allowed me to spend my money on those. I'm not sure how all that works, but it seems like it's romantic, so we're going to go with it being romantic. So there. We might as well get into this. I do have some drinks here to taste because we always start with a little toast. I'm not sure exactly what we're toasting other than the fact that it's yet another Valentine's Day. Maybe that's a perfectly acceptable toast. We have two different, we have little tasting glasses, little cordial glasses. See the little cordial glasses, aren't they pretty? They do not hold the same liquid, even though they look very, very similar. So this is a black raspberry liqueur, and this is a creme de cassis, the currant liqueur. Double check that. Yeah, that's right. Just have to stick the nose in it. So we are going to taste these, and then we are going to swap these. So I will give you the black raspberry, and I will take the creme de cassis. Chin chin. Sweet, dark, raisiny. And you're going to like that because that's really fruity, and
Yeah.
because she likes fruity things and people. So then we're going to switch. And then instead of saying chin chin, we're going to like forehead, something, I don't know. Right? How's that? Oh, look, I got a strange sense of humor. That's what you're here for, right? Is the strange sense of humor. We're still recovering, by the way. We took out a double window over there, and we took out a sliding glass door and had all of that replaced so that they're now actually double paned and thermal insulated, and hopefully it won't be quite as cold down in the bar.
And easier to get in and out.
Yeah, the sliding glass door was weird. It was only like a half size or three-quarter size sliding glass door. Now we have like a full size door that you can, it's actually slightly larger than a normal front door, kind of outside door. So it's easier to get in and out, which will not be nice when we're moving things like furniture in and out,
Right.
bar equipment, that sort of thing.
That is very current raisiny.
There's almost a sherry aspect to that.
Yeah.
It's not as deep as a sherry, but
Yeah.
yep. This is a little sweet for me. So I'm going to hand this off to her. I will drink the creme de cassis.
Oh yeah, I do have a new shirt.
She does. Dun dun dun.
Off-World Designs. Remember?
And
Pooch has a new shirt.
I got a new shirt. Apparently, I don't know if you can tell, but these are cocktail glasses.
I'll try and find
Cocktail glass, right? And there's can't do this backwards. So there's a cherry over here, and ice cubes, and so there's the back of it, right? Same pattern. There you go. Very nice, very nice. I saw this and said, I must have this, and you know, this is not high quality fabric here we're talking, but yeah, it's kind of cool. No, it's not a Michael Goddard shirt. I wish it were. It's a cheap ass knockoff. Not even a knockoff. It's a screen printed. It's not even a screen printed. I don't even know what the technique is. We're showing off some new stuff. We're being very, very thankful that we have each other. Hopefully you have somebody, and if you don't, hopefully you are having a wonderful time by yourself, because you can do that, right? We live in a modern world, easy enough to do. So, what are we going to do this evening? Well, first of all, I got to tell you a story. Way back in the before times, in the dark recesses, back before what seems like recorded history, there was a tribe of the Humans that we will refer to as, what was the word that they used? I believe the word they used to describe themselves was patrons. There's a tribe of humans called patrons.
Oh, yes.
And these patrons would go to various hidden establishments, and as they would go into these establishments, they would find behind the counters of the establishments that there were alchemists. And they would engage these alchemists in arcane discussions. And occasionally they would, several words of arcane knowledge would come forth from the patron, and the alchemist would return with an overflowing potion of something. And people used to do this the Humans used to do this for dates and relationships. And so as a consequence, since this is date relationship night par excellence, we thought we would kind of pay tribute to one of those wonderful occasions where Star and I and a few friends went out and partook of the alchemical magic that was the Columbia Room, or is the Columbia Room in DC. So the Columbia Room has a back room where they do tastings, limited seatings, and those are always themed. And the theme changes like 4 or 5 times a year. And when we went, many moons, while buffalo still roamed the earth, they were doing a special on influential women in the cocktail world. And so they started us off with a wonderful drink by the name of the Hankey Panky. And the Hankey Panky is a very simple drink, and we're going to make that for you this evening. But they also, as a second course, they introduced us to the milk punch. And we just thought the milk punch was absolutely amazing. A milk punch is essentially any kind of punch recipe often using tea as its base, that has been clarified using milk. I know, sounds weird, but you use milk and sour ingredients, causes the milk to curdle. It pulls out the impurities, pulls out the solids. It reduces it to a very, very clear liquid, and it changes the mouthfeel. The mouthfeel becomes a little heavier, a little smoother. And the best part about this, it becomes well nigh shelf stable. So you can keep that stuff for like ever and use it as a base for various cocktails. Turns out that there are a number of individuals around the world that are bottling milk punch. And one of the ones that seems to have a really big reputation, and wow, look at all the smoke. Isn't this cool? Smoke, smoke, is Rockies. And so when we had the opportunity to connect up with the people that produce Rockies, we said, yes, please, we would like some Rockies. And so we now have some Rockies milk punch. So here is what the bottle of Rockies milk punch looks like. And on the back, they have how do you Rocky? And they have just a very simple recipe, which is 2 ounces of Rockies over ice plus 2 ounces of any spirit equals the perfect cocktail. Well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, it's nice, but it's not just mix it with any 2 ounces of other spirits and it goes fine. But if you happen to hop over to the Rockies website where they have menu choices, you will find that there is a Rockies and rum swizzle. And if you know me, you know that I kind of like swizzles. So what we're going to do is a Rockies and rum swizzle for you this evening as our first tribute to the Columbia Room and the wonderful running out and enjoying ourselves occasion that will someday happen again. Chris and David, what are you drinking? Yeah, what is everyone drinking?
Chris and David are drinking Christine's Delight.
Oh, this sounds good.
Lime juice, orange juice, tamarind nectar,
okay,
simple syrup.
I've had bad luck with tamarind nectar,
Clement, rum barbancourt, plantation, ice garnished with a lime mint, and spanked Corsican mint.
Interesting. So you've got the rum agricole, smacking my microphone. I'm going to have to watch that. The rum agricole. And then you've got the so the rum agricole, this is Clement, is rum agricole. And that is made from straight sugarcane juice. Like right off, you cut the cane in half, shove the cane through the grinders, juice, go ferment that. The barbancourt is primarily made, if I remember correctly, from cane syrup, which is that same juice but put over heat and evaporated, just not for the same length of time and not the same level of heat that would produce actual sugar from it. So you just condense down and remove some of the water from it such that it becomes well nigh stable. And the third was plantation, is that right? Yeah, so look at my memory is actually working this evening, which means, of course, I'm going to forget 3 ingredients this evening. And the plantation almost assuredly is coming from a molasses distillery. So you've got all 3 of the what could possibly be fermented to go into rum, all in a single drink. So I would be very interested in finding out how that worked out.
And Amanda is drinking Tequila Sunrise since she took the tequila class today.
So the Tequila Sunrise is an interesting drink. I find the Tequila Sunrise to be a really lovely drink, despite the fact that it's got a ton of orange juice in it. And orange juice seems to be one of those things where bartenders are a little unkeen on orange juice, that it doesn't have the bright pop of much of the other citrus family. And so it kind of waters down the drink, but it has a nice balance of pop and sweet. So you've got to be really, really careful with how you're playing with the Tequila Sunrise. But the Tequila Sunrise is gorgeous, particularly if you're using a high quality grenadine. I find the Tequila Sunrise made with roses to be a little overly sweet. And, well, I mean, my first Tequila Sunrise was Cuervo, probably orange juice out of the frozen can, and roses grenadine. It is to my credit that I continue to drink Tequila Sunrises. They've gotten much better at my bar. So there we go, at the Lovecraft Cocktails bar.
And we have
not dissing on the Tequila Sunrise. I think the Tequila Sunrise is a gorgeous drink and quite tasty, made properly. So
And we have
not
Gwen.
dissing on it. And Gwen, excellent, yay! All right, Rockies and rum swizzle. So if it's a swizzle, that means we need a long, tall glass like this. So we're going to do this. And Star, we have two of these. We have the orange and yellow one, and we have the purple and yellow one. I'm assuming you want the purple one? Okay, so we're going to do that. So swizzle technique. Ingredients go in to the glass. Crushed ice goes in the glass. And you take a swizzle stick. And this is not the swizzle stick that you think of, you know, that's normally just dropped in your cocktail so that you can swizzle this. No, no, no. This is actually, this is a piece of wood, and it comes from a plant that, oh, why am I showing it to the screen there? That doesn't work. So this is a plant where they just trim it off, and it's got these 5 little spokes on the bottom. This goes down into the drink, and then you are just going to spin it around between your fingers, and it will, in fact, mix up the drink for you. And that's what there is to a swizzle. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So what's involved in this particular drink? So first of all, there is 1 ounce of Rockies. And while I am doing this, people can send in notes, messages, comments, whatever they would like, and I will attempt to answer them. So there's 1 ounce of Rockies. So yes, it's clarified using milk, and look how clear that is. You can actually see my face through this. Not that you'd really want to, but there it is. There's Rockies.
I like it.
Star says she likes my face, so therefore that must mean we're a good match for each other. Okay, 1 ounce Rockies, 1 ounce light rum. Okay, so the recipe isn't very specific about rum. What do you mean by light rum? I'm going to take light rum to mean a column still rum, a clean rum that's not going to have really aggressive flavors. So here I'm not reaching for my Ray and Nephew or something along those lines, which would completely obliterate the Rockies. Rockies has a really nice, smooth, dare I say, kind of sophisticated taste to it, sweetness. You throw a Jamaican rum in here and it's just, the poor sophisticated soul that is Rockies will have been found depantsed and mugged in a back alley somewhere. So yeah, we're not going to do that. So we're going to go with a clean, simple rum. And for me, that's going to be the Plantation 3-Star. So the Plantation 3-Star does have some Jamaican rum in it. There's Jamaica, Barbados, and Trinidad, 3 stars. Primarily a column still rum, but not entirely because you've got the Jamaican in there. We're going to open this up, and we have 1 ounce of light rum. A little light on that. I did not fill all the way up. There we go. As I recall, we're looking 40, oh no, it's a little over 40%. It's 41.2%. So it's still a pretty mild rum in terms of its alcohol percentage. The Rockies is pretty light. The Rockies is only 12%. Yeah, so this is not a bold, spirit-forward drink that we're talking. Next up, we need some pineapple juice. And yes, once again, we're going to go ahead and use a canned pineapple juice. Don't yell at me. Or go ahead and yell at me. I'll just ignore you. Don't worry about it. 1 ounce of that. 1 ounce right there. And then this will go away because Star will drink that. So that'll be good. That'll be fine. So we've got the Rockies for sweetness. We've got the rum for the strong. We've got some pineapple juice just to add a little bit of the weak component to it and some additional flavors. What we're missing here is the sour component. So of course we're going to reach for lime juice. Finding some lime juice here. And it's what, half an ounce? Half an ounce of lime juice. Yeah, this is totally the wrong order to be doing this in. Fortunately, there's nothing that's particularly cloyingly sweet or has a really heavy mouthfeel to it, a really heavy density, so there's nothing that's sticking to the jigger. But you probably wanted to put the rum and the Rockies in last because they are the most expensive ingredients. And you always want to put your most expensive ingredients in last, just in case you do something stupid to your drink, like spill it. You'd rather not be throwing away all that good money. There's a scoop. That's what I was looking for. I'm going to go with crushed ice, because it's a swizzle. You need crushed ice or pebble ice. You could use pebble ice. You could use flake ice, but flake ice tends to get, what's the right word? It's just, it packs in, and so you can't get the same movement of the swizzle. So you're going to go ahead and pour this, put this all the way up to the top. You're going to get some spillage as you try and put the swizzle stick in. Right, this goes in. This, you're going to have to turn this around a little bit. We're going to go all the way down. All the way down. There we go. All the way to the bottom of the glass, because that's where the alcohol is. Come on, all the way down. I'm going to move this a little closer to me. There we go. And while watching Greg on How to Drink, who was visiting one of the many, many cocktail symposia in New York back in the before times, he was talking with a bunch of individuals that were making drinks that were being swizzled. I think it was the Angostura boys.
Yeah, it was.
And they were saying that there's multiple ways of swizzling. And that one of them is to just take your one hand and hold it steady while the other hand just rolls back and forth. So you're only using one. You want to do this around the fingers. I find, and this is another perfectly acceptable way, I find that I get a little more action by moving both. So both of my hands are moving. And you can't see it from where you are, I don't think. But what is happening here is I'm essentially creating a blending action, and I'm moving the swivel stick up and down to incorporate everything. And then this will pop right up out of there. Just top it up with a little last bit of that ice. Scoop can go back in there. I'm going to stick a straw in that. Dear love, what would you like for a straw? Do you want a tentacle? Do you want a bamboo?
I want a
straight
purple
straw?
bamboo. Goes good with that glass.
Purple bamboo straw. So, big straw, big straw. I keep looking down because that's where my screen is, but my camera's up here. Very disconcerting. Okay, so big straw. It's got a wide barrel on it, which is good for any kind of drink that's got crushed ice, because if you have a narrow barrel straw and you're using crushed ice, it will constantly get stopped up and you won't be able to get anything through it, and it's just a mess. It's purple, it's glass, so it's reusable and it's easy to clean. And of course, it is from Surfside Sips. They are not a sponsor, but we love them anyway because they just do amazing stuff. And so I can't say their straws are provided by Surfside Sips, but we feature Surfside Sips straws on our show. How's that? That seems the appropriate way to do that. So there we go. There is a Rockies and rum swizzle. So we're going to take a taste of this, see what we think. Well, that's tart. That is far tarter than I would have expected it to be. But the pineapple really comes through. She's going to like that because of the pineapple. Yeah, totally.
That's yummy.
That's nice and refreshing.
Yeah.
It is
It's
not
got a nice tartness that's different than the pineapple tart.
And it's from half an ounce of lime in there. Really, that's it. So that is also that is clearly a spring summer drink.
Yeah.
That is not a winter drink. It is not. We have an inch of ice. Okay, we had an inch of ice.
Right.
Now we have water.
Yeah.
Outback. But that would be a perfect drink for sitting in a hammock and knocking it back. And it's light on alcohol, so you could do that
in the sun
most of the day, probably, and have a wonderful time. So there you go. There's it's a milk punch as its base. The Rockies, a little bit of rum, some lime juice, some pineapple, all good stuff. And it's a harkening back to our time at Columbia Room when they were introducing us to milk punch, and I mean, oh my gosh, that was so cool.
Yeah.
Yep. The one thing I will say about this cocktail, though, is it does not show off the Rockies, I think, to its best, because the nature of the swizzle takes away some of the smoothness of the Rockies.
Okay, yeah.
So when we got served the milk punch, it was, I don't even think it was served over ice. I think it was just neat.
Clear, yeah.
And you could feel that just, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not oily. Yeah, silky. It was just a silky feel on the mouth. It was just amazing. And someday I will get around to actually doing my own milk punch, and I'll show it off here, regardless of how well it tastes or how bad it tastes or how much I messed it up. Because the first time you do stuff like this, you always mess it up, right? So,
So we have Camilla.
oh, Camilla, yes. Oh, Colleen. Did you see the note from Colleen? She's got
Oh, the octopus straw.
She's got one of these. One of these, right? I'm going to get used to this camera. I mean, I'm sure it doesn't look like this. It's not a dark blue one with a, I mean, it could be, but it's doubtful given all of the options that they have. But like octopus on straw, so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christine is enjoying their drink. The rum and rums are playing nicely together. The tamarind nectar was an impulse buy.
Uh-huh.
Kind of flat, but the lime and OJ really help it out.
So we got a tamarind syrup in a shaker and spoon box for the rum night. And if you tuned in last week when we were talking about shaker and spoon, you'll recall that I was maybe not the most complimentary of the rum choices. I have to keep an open mind and give tamarind syrup a little more of a chance because maybe it was just the cocktails that it was put with. Tamarind does show up in a number of tiki cocktails. It's not one of your canonical ingredients, but it does show up. So I really do need to work with it and play with it a little bit more before I give it a yay or a nay. Or what are the Utes saying? It's a yeet or
I have no idea.
I can't remember. If I ever get Will Salt to log into this thing, he'll tell me because yeah, he can do that because he's actually up on all the lingo. Oh, so Colleen does have a dark blue straw with the green octopus on it. Not gonna say copycat. No, not gonna say the word copycat at all. No, not gonna do that.
So Amanda says that your swizzling looks like a Karate Kid move. David says
wax
it looks
on,
like
wax off.
a way to spill a drink if he's trying it.
Yeah, you do have to be somewhat careful with that. There is also a recommended garnish for the Swizzle, which is an unusual garnish because it doesn't go in the drink, it wraps around the glass. And it is a particular way of folding a napkin, a cocktail napkin around the glass and tying it off so that you actually have some place to hold the glass. Because if you do the Swizzle right, that glass should get frosty and cold. I did not stir it probably nearly long enough to get frosty, but I also didn't use a thin-walled glass. Those are actually pretty thick tumblers. I was a little afraid of getting it watered down. There we go. There's the first drink, Rockies and rum Swizzle. It doesn't seem very romantic, but it brings back a romantic evening at the Columbia Room. So there, it's romantic to me. The second drink, which is actually what brought Columbia Room to my mind, is sort of overtly romantic because of the name of the drink, which is the Hanky Panky. Because, right? Hanky Panky. Just do the Hanky Panky. Not here, not on screen. No, bad. So the Hanky Panky was created by one of the great female bartenders of all time. Ada Coleman apparently went by the nickname of Coley, and she was head bartender at the American bar in the Savoy Hotel in London. And she retired from bartending in 1925, and this drink dates back to that period that she was at the Savoy, so sometime between 1900 and 1923. So, the Hanky Panky. The Hanky Panky is a very simple cocktail. It only has 3 ingredients. It has gin, it has sweet vermouth, and it has an Amaro, and the classic Hanky Panky uses Fernet Branca as its Amaro. So, okay, the nice thing about that evening at the Columbia Room was every other person, well, they served a different Hanky Panky to the people that were sitting next to each other, because you can vary the gin, you can vary the vermouth, and you can vary the Amaro and get very different drinks, all based on the Hanky Panky. And so that's what we had that evening, and it was amazing. But we're going to do a classic Hanky Panky for you. So we are going to start with some dry gin. We're going to add some Carpano Antica, which is a Italian sweet vermouth, which is the usual called for in a Hanky Panky. And then we're going to do the Fernet Branca, and we're not going to use much of the Fernet Branca. The recipe that I was looking at calls for 2 dashes of Fernet Branca. That's less than a quarter ounce. So, which is good because the Fernet Branca will take over a drink really easily. But depending on what you do and what vermouths you use, you can vary this drink a great deal. I would not venture into the botanical gin category for this. American gins maybe fine, but some of the botanicals, especially something really aggressively botanical like, say, Uncle Val's, will completely overpower it. And the Uncle Val's and the Fernet, I think that would be bad news. I should try it at some point just so that I can report back to you and say, I was right. Oh, yuck. But I want to make that in a very small format because I don't want to use up my Uncle Val's or my Fernet. So what are we going to do? Well, we are going to start with the Carpano Antica because that is actually the cheapest ingredient. And this drink, there is no fruit juice in this drink. There is no syrup in this drink. And as a consequence, we are going to use a mixing pint for this. So we're going to set the mixing pint here, right in front of us, and we're going to start with our Carpano Antica. I have to make sure that is not the right bottle. So I have 2 bottles here. They look remarkably similar to one another. That's because this is an old Carpano Antica bottle, which holds syrup that I'm going to use later. This is a Carpano Antica bottle. Why do I like these bottles? Because I like them for storing other things, right? They're nice, they're dark, they're a heavy glass, they've got a nice cork stopper. But the other reason I like them is because the other way of buying vermouth is in your standard large format bottles. Vermouth is a wine. It goes bad. It's a fortified wine or an aromatized wine, and so it will last longer, but you really want as small a package as you can possibly get for these, unless you're using a lot of vermouth. I don't tend to use a lot of vermouth. I tend to stick with the Carpano Antica for my sweet vermouth. I store it in the fridge. Any more than about this much out of the bottle, and I will probably transfer this to another smaller bottle just so that I can keep the oxygen content or contact with the vermouth as absolute minimum as possible so it will survive longer. 1.5 ounces. And my usual trick here is it is easier to measure to the intermediary line, which is the 3/4 mark, and do that twice to get 1.5 ounces. I find that while it is, with practice, it's pretty easy to get to the meniscus where you've got, so this is 1 full ounce all the way up to the top, the very top of the jigger. But at that point, any little movement of your hand, you're going to be spilling whatever is in there. So I like to go to the 3/4 mark if I'm measuring 1.5 ounces. As long as I'm going to have to measure twice, let's measure twice and not spill any. How's that for a plan? Okay, next up is a gin. So we're going to go with a dry gin. This is an Edinburgh gin. Edinburgh. We have heard really good things about this gin, but we have not tried it yet. And you can tell that because I'm going to break one of my cardinal rules, which is I should have my bottles open before I do this. So hopefully we don't lose the cork or do something other stupid. I cut myself on the foil. Done that before. That's no fun. Adds a reddish tint to the drink that you maybe don't want. We also have 1.5 ounces of the gin. Actually, Star, do you have your cordial? Yes. Wow, it's almost like she knows me or something. There you go. There's a little.
Because anytime you're trying a new ingredient,
here's my water glass. Yeah, you're going to take that back with you, I'm pretty sure. Rinse out the Quarantikis.
That is nice. It's more towards the Hendrix Blue Sapphire than the
Bombay Sapphire.
Botanist or
It's not quite as clear. Has some other flavors in it
Yeah.
because like Hendrix has that the cucumber taste to it. I mean that's the signature
Mhm.
flavor from Hendrix is the cucumber element to it. So okay, so this is a problem. Having incense at your bar, I think, really helps set the scene, especially for sort of tiki, tropical, Polynesia sort of things. But when the smoke is blowing this way, it makes it very hard for your nose to work on whatever alcohol you have in your drink. There we go. Now I can smell it. Yes, the juniper comes through.
Mhm.
Yep,
juniper, citrus.
definitely citrus. Yep. So this is not going to be one of if you don't like juniper, if you don't like Christmas trees, this is probably not going to be a gin for you. Would be my guess.
Are you done with this?
I am in fact done with the pineapple. Yes, hon. You may take that away. Oh, that's perfectly lovely. That is a nice solid dry gin, and that's exactly what we want for this. So same thing, ounce and a half, 3/4, 3/4, and then we need a couple of dashes of Fernet. Okay, Mr. Fernet, how are we going to do this? First of all, I have to find my Fernet. That's right, it's here. This is not a dasher. I don't have a dasher top for these bottles. So what I am going to do is use a dropper. Reach in here. I'm just going to pour some into the cap. No, this is not what a usual bottle of Fernet Branca looks like. I have dear friends that share in my passion for bartending, drinking, and we quite often go halvesies on bottles of things that we're not going to use a lot of at any given time. So Fernet Branca is ideal for that. So we're going to go a dash and then another dash. We're just going to do that and call it good on the Fernet Branca. I can always add more. You can't add less. And with Fernet, a light hand is usually for the best. And that, my friends, that is the ideal color for a hanky panky. That is a little reddish hint from the vermouth, the brown from the Fernet, and the clear. Yep, that's what we want to see. Specific instructions for this would entail you want to stir this with plenty of ice, and you want a good long stir. So like 30 seconds, we're going to be stirring this. Because I might get some dilution of the ice and the ice might fall a bit, I'm going to be a little bit above the liquid surface with my ice. If you have ice cubes that are up here, up at the top, and they never contact the water, they don't do you any good. But in this case, because we're going to do a nice long stir, I want to make sure that when the ice falls, there's plenty of room there. So what do you think? I got a couple options here. We can do the Death Head Skull with the ruby eyeballs on it. This is from Latitude 29 in New Orleans. And we're currently in the midst of Mardi Gras, is that right? Or just ended Mardi Gras?
I think we're beginning.
Ending Mardi Gras
Ending.
because Ash Wednesday is Wednesday. Or the Cthulhu. I think we're going to go with, yeah, for Mardi Gras, we're going to do that. All right. Once again, so you have bar spoon. The back of the spoon should go against the outside of the glass. The spoon traditionally rests between the forefingers and the back fingers. And you have a slight push-pull motion. And the twisty neck of the spoon should rotate nicely between those fingers. You should not be hearing a whole lot of agitation from the ice. If anyone's like, they're stirring it wrong. You're getting more dilution than what you want. So I don't actually have a good timer here in front of me. So I'm just going to hope that someone will tell me when 30 seconds is essentially over. That's probably been about, what, 10 seconds at this point? La 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 la. Shall we call that 20?
Yeah.
It's hard to do because I count the number of times that the spoon is swirling,
I think you're good.
and we're probably good. We're probably at 30 seconds or thereabouts. But, you know, one stir of this of the spoon is probably not 1 second, even though in my brain that's how it tends to work out. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that's quite nice.
Flora says time is meaningless.
Time is meaningless. All right, so we'll do it again. We've done this before. So julep strainer, right, as opposed to a hawthorn. There is no earthly reason why you can't use a hawthorn strainer for this. It'll go right in there and it'll be perfectly fine. Traditionally, a julep strainer is done for drinks that are stirred. I gave Alton Brown a lot of grief for using the julep strainer this way, right, with the, right, so you got the bowl this way in the glass. But I got to admit, I find that forms a nice lock, whereas you would think you would put it in this way, and it's not quite as tight, although if it's down, actually touching the liquid surface, if it's down far enough, it's equally tight. So I'm not sure. I'm not sold. Either way appears to work. I'm not sold on the aesthetics either way. So this is a hanky panky. There's one more element to this. You can get this element, or a similar way of getting this element would be just a single dash of orange bitters. But classically, you have an orange peel, a little bit of orange peel. Come on, there we go. Vegetable peeler. That's all it is, vegetable peeler. Most of the time, bartenders like the Y peeler. I don't get it. I like the straight peeler instead. So they will take the orange peel, and what you want to do is express the oils off the back side of this. So you want as little white pith on the inside. It's got a little bit more white pith than I really want here, but that's okay. And we're just going to squeeze that. And I don't know if you saw that, but as I squeezed it, the surface of the liquid in here shimmered for just a second, and that was the oils hitting the top of the glass or hitting the top of the liquid. And then you can just skate your orange peel around on the inside. Recommended that you do something pretty with it, not actually anchoring it into, or not actually dropping it into the hanky panky. But in this case, we're just going to droop it over the side. And there, my friends,
Other camera.
there, my friends, is a classic hanky panky, right? Just like that. A little bit spirit forward. The orange really comes through because there's an orange peel dangling in front of my nose. Flora. That was the right amount of Fernet. Oh, wow. So I could, some night, just do a lineup of hanky pankies. We have the Fernet. We've got the Montenegro. We've got the Sfumato. We've got the Amaro Nonino. So there's a whole strain of Amaros that you could use. You want to switch over the vermouth. You could use Dolan.
Mm-hmm.
You could use the Carpano Antica. You could use Cinzano or Rossi if you must. Any of the sweet vermouths to play around with that. You could also use other aromatized wines for in place of the vermouth if you wanted to. You probably still want to keep the sweetness, otherwise the Fernet will be a little overpowering. But
now, I'm not an Amaro fan, and I'm not always a vermouth fan. I really like the hanky panky, and I think a lot of that is memory. So sometimes a drink that isn't necessarily in your drink category.
Depends where you had it.
Depends on where you had it the first time. And so anytime I have a hanky panky,
you think?
I think of Columbia Room.
Yep.
And that experience, and it's an educational and
I,
tasting
I knew I
experience.
knew
And
nothing about Ada Coleman before I walked through the
yeah,
doors of the Columbia Room, and then it was like, who is this person? You have a female bartender in the early 1900s
yeah,
that's
yeah,
massively
yeah.
influential? What? How awesome is that? Yeah. So there you go.
Mm,
Is that going
that
to
is
stay
good.
here?
I am going to leave it for you,
Okay.
but
All right.
I do enjoy it.
Yay. So the converse is also true. You can have
Oh, yeah.
a drink that you like, and it will, that first time you have a drink, and that it will cement that place in your memory, even if, for whatever reason that may not be, the best place to drink in the world or the most awesome, bar. The very first place I ever had a Swizzle, the bartender introduced me to the 151 Swizzle, which is one of my favorite tiki drinks. And, it's of all the bars that do tiki in all of the French Quarter in all of New Orleans, it's the one that doesn't get nearly as much coverage as some of the others, which is Tiki Tolteca. It's just down the street from Latitude 29. And that bar is always going to have a soft spot in my heart. Every time I swizzle something, I think of Tiki Tolteca. It's just forever going to be that way. And so there you go. A great drink will forever cement a particular location in your head. Ta-da. The Hanky Panky. Someday I should do that. I should just make a whole set of Hanky Pankies, do a flight of Hanky Pankies, and we'll have a lot of fun having doing that. All right, so that's the Hanky Panky. And that's the story of us going to the Columbia Room. That's not really a story. It's just we went to the Columbia Room. We had a really great time. They introduced us to Milk Punch. They introduced us to the Hanky Panky, which is a souped up martini in some ways. So we still have to do something that is just over the top classically tiki and is still sort of romantic and, I don't know, Valentine's-y. Well, if you go through Jeff Berry's Total Tiki app and you start looking for things like hearts, puppies and kittens and other candy and things that you usually associate with Valentine's Day, you don't find much. If you type in Valen, Valen, you do come up with a drink called the Cherie Valentino. So the Cherie Valentino dates back at least to the 1950s, but this recipe dates, we think, from the 1970s as it was served at Kelbo's. Kelbo's was a club in Los Angeles in the 1970s. They had a small chain of them that were in Southern California. I don't think Kelbo's exists anymore. I never had the pleasure of going to a Kelbo's, but this is a recreation by taste of the recipe that Kelbo's used to serve for the Cherie Valentino. I don't know what the origin of the name or anything else is for the Cherie Valentino, but I did note when looking at it that the recipe is for a large format drink. Clearly enough alcohol for like 3 or 4 people, but it is intended for 2, and it is served in a bowl that they referred to at Kelbo's as the Lover's Utopia Bowl. Now, I mean, it's got Valentine in the name, and it's served in a Lover's Utopia Bowl. So I'm going with that. That is going to be my base for the tiki portion of tonight's Quarantiki. We're going to get our tiki on with a drink from Kelbo's. So this is also a gin-based cocktail. So the Cherie Valentino has 4 ounces of dry gin, 2 ounces of blackberry brandy or some other blackberry liqueur, 2 ounces of grenadine, 1.5 ounces of lime juice, 1.5 ounces of lemon juice, and then a whole bunch of crushed ice, and it's blended. Okay, seems fair enough. Seems pretty straightforward. I don't actually own any blackberry brandy, but what I do have is the black raspberry liqueur, which I think is going to make this really pretty sweet. I'm also not going to make this as a large format drink because I'm going to do a riff off of this with the second round. So if you were counting, you got 4 ounces of dry gin, 2 ounces of blackberry brandy, 2 ounces of grenadine. Oh my gosh, that is like, wow, sweet. And 3 ounces of sour split evenly between the lime and lemon. One, two, I ran out of fingers. Three, so that's 11 ounces of alcohol. Or 11 ounces of drink. That's a big drink. We're gonna cut all that back. we're gonna cut everything in half here, and try this with the black raspberry liqueur. My presumption is that that is going to be just a little on the sweet side, but we will see what we can do. I am going to do a second version of this, which is going to be the house version for this Valentine's Day of the Cherie Valentine. And we are going to be using rum as a base for this because I freaking can. All right, so first of all, we're going to cut everything in half. So we need 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. Well, okay, what's my sweetener? My sweetener is grenadine, right? So that's creme de cassis. This is the home grenadine. All right, so 3/4 of an ounce of the home grenadine. Now, you folk need to be paying close attention here because I am likely to get this wrong. So we're going to go 3/4 an ounce of the grenadine, but I'm going to use a different sweetener for the home version over here on the right. Remember that bottle that looked like the Carpano Antica but isn't? What this bottle contains is clove-infused cranberry syrup. And so we're going to use that. Similar color profile, a little thicker, much more tart. And of course it has that spice note from the cloves that is absolutely missing from the grenadine. All right, so there we go. There's our sweet component. Then we're going to go sour. Sour component is split. So we're going to go 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice in both of these. 3/4 ounce there. 3/4 of an ounce there. Now, I am not going to split the base or split the sour base for the home version. So we're going to go with another 3/4 of an ounce for the home version. I just think the lime juice is going to play better with the rum base. So that goes there. And lemon juice then goes only on the left-hand side. Pass the lemon juice on the left-hand side. Yeah, it doesn't have quite the same ring to it. But then again, it doesn't reference dope either. So there you go. All right. So there's the sour component and the sweet component. Aside from the fact that we're going to use black raspberry liqueur, we're going to go 1 ounce of that for the traditional, or at least as traditional as I can get it. 1 ounce black raspberry liqueur. For the home version, we're going to go with the creme de cassis. 1 ounce of that. I think this will give it a deeper, richer flavor, and I think it will marry better with the rum. Okay, got the sour, got the sweet component. Now we need the spirit. 2 ounces of gin. We're going to go ahead and use the Edinburgh gin wherever I've put it. Flip that over. 2 ounces Edinburgh gin. Edinburgh gin. There we go. 2 ounces there. All right. But for this one, we are going with rum. And I hemmed and hawed about this. What kind of rum would best go in this? I could just go with I could be not very bold and adventurous and just go with the Plantation 3-Star, which is essentially me throwing my hands up in the air and going, I'm going to use a blend of 3 different rums because I don't know what's really going to work with this and what's not. I do know I'm not going to use anything that's got a really heavy Jamaican funk because that would just make this thing weird. The the funk of the Jamaican would war with uh, that old world deepness that the creme de cassis is bringing with it. I just don't think it would be a good mix. I could be wrong. I wanted something brighter, but I wanted a botanical note to it in much the same way as the gin is bringing. So my thought was, let's use a rum agricole. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go 2 ounces of rum agricole, and here I'm going to go ahead and use. No, I don't want to use the Duquesne for this. Hun, would you pull me La Favorite? It is behind the Clement, next to the Samaroli over there. Okay, so why? So the La Favorite is a little, it's not funkier, it's a little more complex. You get a lot more of the grassy notes, for at least for me, off the La Favorite than I do off of the Duquesne. And so we're going to go with that. Now, bear in mind, I've not made this. Not made either one of these, and I'm riffing off of a drink that I've never tasted before. So, you know, that's always completely and utterly dangerous, but we'll see how things go. Y'all trust me, right? The wife does. Hopefully it all works out. So then we need, that's it. So did I do that right? So we've got gin rum, blackberry brandy, creme de cassis, grenadine, the cranberry syrup, lemon and lime, just lime, and now we go crushed ice. All right, this is good. I think I actually got that right. Woohoo! Apparently, who knew, it pays to have sleep. So this scoop is about 8 ounces. So I'm just going to go 2 of those scoops. I'm only going to do that for one of these. I'm going to throw in 2 agitator cubes. Chunk, chunk. And we're going to stick there, and they say blend this for like 20 seconds. Long blend. They want this ice broken up. I'm going to call that 20 or thereabouts. Now, dear love, you have a choice to make.
Yes.
Because we have your red heart tiki mug over here.
The traditional, I think, goes in that.
So the traditional? You want
Yeah.
the Cherie Valentino in that?
Yes.
All right. That is here. There are no instructions on how to dispense this into the mug, as I recall. Yep, nope. So I assume that what we're going to do is we are going to do an open pour with a gated finish, because otherwise we may overflow the mug. I think adding, so open pour, we are doing an open pour. So this is called the gate of your strainer. So the gate is open here. If you wish to close the gate, you just let that come back down, and now no liquid can get through without coming through the strainer. So we're going to do an open pour. This will allow some of the ice through, right? Yep. And then we're going to just fully take this thing off, because that's all nice and slushy. So that's just going to go, we're going to go right in there. Look at that baby. Woohoo. Oh, and there's a little left over for the bartender. Yay. Piratical skull right there. Why are we using a pick? Well, because I happen to have some berries here, and I think berries would make a mighty fine garnish for this. So there's some berries. I have some really, really sad mint over here. I don't think I'm going to perk up the mint at all by smacking it around, which is, you know, but we're going to do it anyway. So we're going to do that. And wow, that's some pretty sad looking mint. But it's mint. I'm going to stick that in there. It is a slushy drink, so I do want some sort of swizzle in there. What have we got? What is this? Oh, here we have a lime swizzle. Yep, see, so there's just a little lime wheel. Right.
I thought I'll buy nothing.
Yep, so that's going to go in there. That'll help break up the crushed ice. And we need a straw. I want a little wider straw for this, so we're going to go ahead and go with this guy, which is similar to the purple bamboo straw, except, I mean, it's a wide barrel. It's just not, it doesn't have the rings on it to make it into the bamboo. And that's going to go right in there. Oh, that's kind of delightful. I actually would want a little less ice in that, I think. So if you drink that down, I can add a little more of the last bit of beverage that's in there. All good? Yeah, there's plenty of room in there. Let's see if we can get just a little bit more. Yeah, that sounds horrible when I do that. There we go. Ta-da! And that is as close to the Cherie Valentino as I can do because I don't have the blackberry brandy. It's a little very tart. Well, it's not very tart. It's not
show
like
off my heart glass.
Yep.
He's got a little heart on his forehead.
a big old tongue hanging out. Ah. The tongue is almost like Undertaker-esque for those of you that are wrestling fans. The Undertaker used to like his tongue would like come out of his mouth. Yeah. All right. Enough of that. That's not very romantic, Mr. Petrucci. That's fine. All right, so we're going to toss a couple of agitator cubes in there. Eight ounces. Oh, skimp a little on this one. Not quite as much ice. Live and learn here. Although she seems quite happy with that. So that's all right. We're going to do this for another 20 seconds. Oh, and the wife turned on the Tiki music. I don't have a mug. Oh my gosh, I do not have a Tiki mug in front of me. Oh, I could use this guy. I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
This guy. So I've got stuff in him. That's easy enough. We'll just dump that out. All right, so what's in there? So, we got Miskatonic University pin. And what is this? A Lion Distilling Company pin. We have a little garland on a string that could go around a hat or something. Oh, what is this? Oh, right. Yeah, that's a Lovecraft Cocktails pin, which can be yours. All you have to do is ask me for one. And then we have a Mai Tai Till You Die pin. Yep, which I'm going to have to find a good spot for that. There's a Mai Tai Till You Die patch over there and a sticker for the car over there because Mai Tai Till You Die, right? Okay, let's stir that up a little bit. We're going to pour this in. There we go.
So we were talking earlier about drink memories.
Drink memories.
Right. You know, when you have a drink the first time.
What?
I forget things.
I forget things because I drink.
There's a...
So does she, evidently. She's got the shirt to prove it.
There's a drink called the Rum Runner.
Yes, indeed.
Which I first had at Disney World. Pooch has made a rum runner a couple times. I've had a rum runner at a couple different places. And they don't taste like that first one I had.
Which is odd, because I use better ingredients.
This tastes like that first rum runner.
Does it?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. That is very interesting, because as I was making the recipes up for this evening, one of the things I thought of was, wow, this drink is very similar to
the rum
runner.
Oh, okay. So I'm not completely out of...
Not at all, no.
Okay.
So the rum runner has banana liqueur in there, in addition to the blackberry liqueur. It has a higher proof rum.
Okay.
And that has gin.
Right.
Which is,
very different, but...
Right. And then I think it's lime juice, if I remember right, on the rum runner. So, okay, so here is mine. Here is the not yet named variation of the Cherie Valentino. This one made with rum.
Do you want a short straw or a long straw?
This one would be fine.
Okay.
We'll use this guy.
So you could have this one if you want it.
No, I think the green one will go just fine in there. I do need some form of swizzle. And what do I want here? All sorts of swizzles. Let me go with this. So what is this? So this is an authentic Smuggler's Cove plastic swizzle, and I think, yeah, I have to thank Melissa for this. So
Right,
this was our
right.
second trip to Smuggler's Cove. It was the trip that we were on for our anniversary party, and we were in the downstairs bar, which is Melissa's haunt, and she she was wonderful. We sat, we chatted, we talked cocktails, we talked Smuggler's Cove. I got her to sign my copy of Smuggler's Cove. She hunted around back and found me some Smuggler's Cove trading cards. If you can believe, they have trading cards which have pictures of various things around in the cove on the cards.
Yeah.
Right. So you can play sort of the game of like running around and see if you can find where all these things are, which I think is just ecstatically fun. I did put rum in this, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, right, the favorite.
Mhm.
What did I put in here? Oh, that's right. I may have to rethink the agricole.
That is nice.
I think the agricole is the right. I think an agricole is the right rum for
But
that.
that might not be the right agricole.
I might have been better off using the Duquesne, which is a
Okay.
little cleaner
Yeah.
taste. The La Favorite, I like La Favorite, but there is a, how can I say it without it sounding nasty? There's like, there's a dirt flavor to it. Like it's not quite clean. Like it's it
You get some
it
terroir. in the
it is a lot. This guy is a lot more like gnawing on a hunk of sugar cane than the Duquesne is. And I think that that bit of that fibrous, it's so close to the dirt taste is, well, I love it, is probably a little much for this cocktail, and maybe a cleaner rum would be more appropriate for it. But definitely a rum agricole, just to bring out that grassy sort of botanical note to it. But we're going to call this a success. Not an unqualified success, but certainly a success to start with. And there will be plenty of experimentation along these lines in the future. And look, it's even sort of a pretty reddish brown color. So that's kind of nice for the whole Valentine's Day thing. So we've done a trip down memory lane to the Columbia Room, where we were introduced to Milk Punch with the Rockies and Rum Swizzle. We hit up the Hanky Panky, and we're going to have to do the Hanky Panky again in multiple variations. And then we did a classic tiki drink in the Cherie Valentino, and a rum-based version of that, which I have yet to call something, but I'll find a name for it. That can only be done when I have the cranberry clove syrup lying around, which is not very often, but I think I may start to keep that. Yeah, the refrigerator is starting to get a little full of syrups because...
Crimson and clover.
Ooh, crimson and clover. Oh, well, that's a thing. That's a thing. We've got the cranberry and clove syrup. We've got the usual spiced syrup. We've got the simple syrup. We have only one orgeat at the moment. We just have the almond orgeat. We don't have any other nuts. Although there's some chestnuts that we have up there that I was thinking about actually roasting chestnuts during this winter. I wonder if I could make orgeat out of roasted chestnuts. That would be fun. That would be kind of cool. Something else in there. Oh, I just made a ginger and cardamom syrup as well, which I tend to use for what I consider kind of the house daiquiri, which is Probitas, lime juice, and the ginger cardamom simple syrup. So we've got all of those syrups. Yeah, we are out of Probitas. Oh my gosh. We're going to have to resolve that particular problem. So there you go. I hope you, first of all, I'm so thankful you took time out of your Valentine's Day to come hang out with the two of us and watch me make some drinks. I hope this has been fun for you. I'm not sure how romantic it's been for you, but it's been a little bit of romantic for us. So she's given me the "aw, aren't we cute" kind of look, which, I'll be bouncy and happy and giddy about that. So Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend, or however much of your weekend you have remaining.
It's a holiday.
For those of us that follow a federal guidelines, tomorrow is a holiday, so you know what that means. Drink up, baby. All right, we're going to call it quits there. This has been Quarantiki number 44 from Lovecraft Cocktails. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Enjoy yourselves. Be good. Be nice. Don't fight. Share your toys.